So somebody messaged me and asked if I'd do a video explaining some entry-level kind of armies to bring to multiplayer games. And I thought that was a great idea for a video, and I realized I didn't have anything like that. So right now, I'm going to go over some basic things that you can do when you're just starting out, good armies that are good for the beginner. And I'm going to make a couple assumptions. The first is that you're playing with no artillery and a maximum of 5 light infantry, and that also that you're playing with large funds and generally large unit sizes. I know like Russians tend to like medium more, but large funds will give you 14,000 bucks to spend. And before we continue, just a reminder: the major nations are Great Britain, France, and Prussia. These nations are just a little bit stronger than everybody else, so you probably want to stick to these three nations. Now, before we continue, a couple rules that you kind of always want to stick by. There's exceptions, of course, but a couple rules. The first is, well, let's look at some units here. The first is that if you use light infantry, you want to always use the 100 range unit, in this case the Grenzer, and you do not want to use the 125 unit, in this case the Jaeger. They're called skirmishers or rifles a lot at the time. The reason for this is this unit has 90 men in it, this unit only has 60, and this unit has, while it has better accuracy and longer range, its reload speeds are incredibly slow. It's almost half the reload of the Grenzer here. So if you walked a Grenzer and a Jaeger up in front of each other and started shooting, the Grenzer would win every time. So you always want to bring the 100 range light infantry unit. The second rule is you never want to use grenadiers. Grenadiers are sexy because they throw grenades, but it's the same argument. There's only 90 men in a grenadier unit. There's 120 in a regular line infantry unit. These have their niche uses, like on Waterloo. If you want to assault a house, they're really good in melee. They generally have high morale. That's when you'd use a grenadier, but generally speaking, otherwise you'd never want to use grenadiers. Third rule is you'll want somewhere between 2 and 4 cav. Actually, Terminator had a really good idea he used to share, and he said that when you start playing out with a new country, like say you start playing with Great Britain for the first time, when you start, bring 0 cav, and then slowly but surely, so your army would look something like this. We have 0 cav to start with, and then he said, then bring 2, play some more games, then bring 3, play some more games, then bring 4. So generally you don't want to be above 4 anyway, and when you're starting, maybe something like this, play a couple games, alright, get a little more comfortable maneuvering my infantry, so I'll bring a little more cav. Alright, so generally go light on the cav. I know some players, they're like, yeah, cav is awesome, and they got like 8 of them or something like that, and then they run into kind of a pseudo-competent player and they just get trounced, right? So kind of want to go light on the little lighter on the cav. The fourth general rule is you always want to bring 20 units. There's going to be one exception about this we're going to talk about later, but generally you always want to bring 20 units. Now that means, as a side effect of that rule, is you're probably going to use the basic general, who costs 270, as opposed to the Duke of Wellington, who costs 1200. And you're generally not going to use guards that much. All of the units, as they start getting more expensive up here, they're cool and everything. They got neat names, but you straight up just can't afford them. It's the same with cav. It's actually doubly true with cav. Like the horse guard here costs $1,000, but you can almost buy 2 light dragoons for that money. So the expensive guard units up here and up here, generally you're going to go light on those because we really want to bring 20 units. And the last rule I think you should roll with is that line infantry is always good. When in doubt, bring line infantry. For example, bring the general. And I mean, if you are legitimately entering your first multiplayer game ever, like maybe you're watching this video thinking about buying the game, you haven't actually played the game yet, this right here is a perfectly serviceable army. You got a general and 19 line infantry. This is perfectly fine. In fact, you will probably win a whole lot of games with this army against, anything up to like a 4 or 5 star player. Heck, yeah, I mean, Kraz used to use this army and beat everybody with it, right? The reason for that is that it's simple, so it's hard to mess up. Just keep moving all your units, keep everybody in a straight line, and you're gonna beat people who are kind of fumbling around and misusing their cav and everything. Like, this is actually a legitimately good army right here. 19 line infantry, can't go wrong with that. All right. So when in doubt, line infantry is good. All right, don't make it too complicated. All right. That being said, here we're going to go through the 3 major nations and a couple armies that are real good for beginners. So we'll start with Great Britain. We'll do the basic general. And again, light infantry, similar to Terminator's thing with cav, you might want to start not using them. Right? They take a little more attention to work. So I wonder what we can do here if we just went... we're a little... So let's bring a militia and 3 cav. All right, this is a great intro army for a beginner. I mean, we're heavy on line infantry again. We have a militia unit, and we have 3 cav, and that's fine. Another thing that I should have added earlier is that militia in this game are not as reliable as line infantry. You can't form them as part of your firing line. What we use militia for is called meat shielding. You would place your militia in front of other units that you want to protect. The reason for that is these units are incredibly cheap. So in a critical part of the battle, they can take a volley that would otherwise hit my line infantry. Then they can rout away real quick, but I've now moved my line infantry up into a advantageous firing position. Okay, so this is an army that you could start with. If we wanted to be a little more comprehensive, we'll bring the 5 light infantry. And then the note here is I have a militia that's going to protect them. It's going to meat shield for them. And the reason I bought them in this order is, you know, when your game starts and you have all the unit cards down here, those will appear in the order of how we're purchasing them. Okay, so we have 5 light infantry with the militia wedged in there. We're going to pile in some foot. And I wonder if we can afford 4 cav. Yeah, that's perfect. We even have money left over to put on our guy. So there's a 4 cav variant. We even have enough money to bring line infantry. Actually, I really like this. Actually, I wonder if we can do... What does the heavy dragoon cost? Yeah, I like this a lot. I think the heavy dragoon is a little bit better than the light dragoon. So this is a really great army right here. You have your 5 light infantry with militia. We've got, what is that, 10 line infantry and 3 cav. That's perfect. All right, this is a great army for Great Britain. All right, so that might be one you do. Prussia. Prussia might be the nation that I recommend you start out with. But, you know, another, if we did the no lights with Prussia. Oh, whoops. I wonder what we could get here. So we're doing the no light infantry variant. Oh, whoops. That's a DLC unit that I have. And Prussia's Lancers are pretty good. They're really cheap. So this is great. We have all the line infantry, but we have $700 left over. So I bet we can even bring some guards. Can we bring some guards? Yeah. There's 58 life in there. So we even got a couple guard units in. Okay, so again, this is our no light infantry version, right? We have a whole bunch of infantry and 4 cav. This is a great army. Right, you can do a lot with that. The light infantry variant of this, we go to, there's our militia again. Okay. Bring 2 guards. Can we bring 4 lancers? Yeah, this is great too. So this is really similar to the GB army we just had. We have our 5 light infantry with militia, and then we have, looks like 9 line infantry, 2 of which are guards, which is nice, and then we have 4 cav. There you go. That's great. France, because obviously France has way more units, France has way more options, so I might recommend holding back on doing France. But let's think about it like this. You want to use the Voltigear unit. So we'll bring 3 of those. These aren't quite as beefy as the light infantry from other nations. So we're just going to bring 3. I'm just kind of spitballing here. We want to bring the 3 old guard. We're going to need some line infantry, some militia, and some lancers. And we're out of money. That's actually kind of convenient because we went up with $0 left. France is going to generally be the exception to the bring 20 units rule, but you can usually field 19 or 18. And the reason for that is the old guard are so expensive, but the old guard are so good that it's worth it. So this is an army that might bring with France. And then we might organize this a little bit better in terms of our group. So if we had kind of a strategy, we might put 2 voltigears out in front of 3 line there. And then maybe in the center we'd have a 3rd voltigear in front of 3 more line. And then on the right side of our army weight might have a militia. I have more money. Yeah, I have way more money. So I tell you what, let's put a 4th line unit in there. On the right flank we'll put this guy with another line unit, and then can I afford more cav? Okay, we'll use a shooter cav. See, this is a great army, and what you're doing is you're forward thinking. So like the left side of your deployment, actually let's just fucking do it, right? So we've kind of bought our units in the order that we're going to deploy them on the field. There's pros and cons to this. The pro is that it's real easy for you to keep straight in your head when you're beginning. As you get better at the game, I dislike having like static setups like this because it, you know, decreases your creativity or your adaptability a little bit. And yeah, so then the way I kind of set up is I just Control A to select everybody. So in the center of our line, we're going to have 1 volt. Then on the left side of our line, we're going to have 2 volts. And these are just totally arbitrary thing that I'm just making up. Right, this isn't a horrible plan. Ah. Okay. We're going to need more space. Right. And this group over here. Put the militia in front of them. Alright, we got 3 groups, so we'll organize our cav back here. We can move the cav to whatever flank. I mean, you could, depending on how, you know, like that, or whatever. Stick your general back here. And then we could, like, say Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, and you've got some groups set up, right? 1, 2, 3. I don't like using groups because, again, the whole adaptability problem, but this is a pretty, you know, reasonable army. Okay, I have a few gameplay tips before I log out here. The first is, notice I've put my line infantry about halfway behind my lights. You need to do this. Your light infantry are really weak to cav, so you need your line infantry there to potentially protect them. Yeah, let's go and start the battle. Where's the bad guy at? The second thing about cav is only ever use your cav against things that your infantry are also shooting at. Or another way to say that would be, don't use your cav independently. Like you see this guy is walking his cav, and I see new players all the time just charging their cav everywhere. Your cav is a tool to support your infantry, so only use your cav. Can I speed up time? Only use your cav to support your infantry, so only ever attack things that your infantry are shooting. Generally, you want to work around to avoid using groups, but obviously I'm using groups here. I'm also in super fast forward, so it makes this a little bit easier. This guy has artillery. What a cheater. Okay. Let's square here. Pull back. Go and score with that unit too. Oh, what's happening here? This isn't horrible training, actually. Oh shit, there's a light infantry there. Whoops, my bad. I think this artillery is probably chewing me up.
Our men are running, sir!
Oh, that is really loud. Weren't we supposed to be? Okay, fine. Melee. Oh no, this is our old guard. Wait, they're old guard? You know, oh, ungroup. See, the problem with groups is that you're stuck in the formation. Square. What's that? That's an old guard. Did we have somebody come back from round?
Our men are running, sir!
Okay, are you a lancer? You're a lancer, so. You're a shooter cav. You're a lancer, so. What is the AI doing? This is. Oh wait, go kill their.
Our men are running, sir!
Ah. What's happening over here? Oh, there's still cat. Okay. Oh, there's this fucking random light up here. Okay, so
Our men are running, sir.
Oh, and the last thing I had written down here is to try the. I think I just lose. I think I just lost. The last thing I have written down is to try the unrestricted camera, which is what I have right now. And you can just Google how to use the unrestricted camera for that. But anyway, it looks like I just lost to the AI. Sweet. Anyway, I hope that helps. Use those armies. Bring lots of line infantry. You can't go wrong. I wonder what difficulty setting I put this on. Yeah, kill that guy.
Our men are running, sir.
Yeah, our men are running. Damn it. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.